12 Jordans, 1 clock, endless style. Coming up on Tina Tries. Jordan's upcoming return to the NBA as a special commentator, and the fact that today is the 23rd, I am going to be making the Jordan clock. This clock features 12 Air Jordans around the iconic Jumpman logo. It is easy to print, easy to assemble, not so easy to paint. This file is by Leo Kaimi and can be found on MakerWorld. I printed this on an X1 Carbon and an A1 Mini. I used black, white, red, and gray PLA for this. This print took about 9 hours to complete. You will need a bamboo MH01 clock kit and some super glue. Everything will be linked in the description below. Let's check out the build. So I am going to paint all of these absolutely adorable, teeny tiny Air Jordans. These are going to be the hour markings around the clock. So we have Jordans number 1 through 12, and I am going to paint them all in a red, black, and white motif, with a couple of them having a little bit of gray. So I'm going to use a lot of detail brushes since these are itty bitty. Let's start with our ones. I'm going to get some black and some red. I'm going to go with an original colorway. So it's going to be mostly red on this one. Let's get to it. So this is going to be a lot of tedious detail work, and it's going to take quite a while, so hang with me here. Now it's time for the super tiny detail brush, so we can do this red Jumpman. Let's do the shoelaces here. All right, and there we have our ones. I'm gonna let those dry. Let's move on to the twos. And there are my twos. My threes, I'm going to need a little bit of gray. First, we are gonna do this red Jumpman in the middle. Have to do some white here to give it that speckled look. And there we have our threes with the red Jumpman there. Moving on to our fours. Let's do our Jumpman here. I'm gonna do the edges of the soles here in red. These need a little bit of gray. And just a couple of white details here, and these ones will be done. And there we have our fours. All right, now on to the fives. Now number 23. And there we have our fives. Let's move on to the sixes. These are also going to be mostly black. do the Jumpman on this one. Now I just have the bottom of these, and the 6s are done. And there are our 6s. I am gonna start on the 7s. Do a little bit of a gold color and do some details on this 7, including the Jumpman. Now I'm gonna do the red, and there we have our 7s. Moving right along. Let's start the 8s. Using reference pictures. Picked out my favorite classic Bulls colorways, and I'm using those to come up with my paint scheme for each of the Jordans. Let's add the red to this one, including the Jumpman, and then we will be done with the 8s. And there are our 8s. Moving on to the 9s. So I grew up watching MJ play. I was fortunate enough to get to witness greatness. I remember watching his highlights on SportsCenter. There we have our 9. Moving on to the 10. Let's do our red detail work. There we have our 10s. Start the 11s. Almost there. There we have our 11s. And last but not least, we have our 12s. There we have our 12s. So after these all dry, I'm going to seal them up with Mod Podge. And then once they've dried overnight, I will come back and assemble the clock. So all of my Jordans have dried. They look adorable. And we are ready to assemble this clock. So we are going to be using the Bamboo Lab MH011 clock kit. And this time, we are going to be using the hands that come with it. Right, so the arms, when you open the kit, have a little film on them to keep them from getting scratched. We are going to peel that off. That film is not on the seconds hand here, so you don't need to worry about that, but it is on the hour and the minute hand. And first, we are going to start by gluing this really thin red Jumpman onto the face of the clock. I'm going to be using regular super glue on this, and I'm going to use it sparingly here so that I don't have any leakage. So there's our Jumpman. Next, we are going to glue this gray ring inside. There we go. Next, we are going to glue the shoes in here. So you want to make sure that they are in the right order. 12s go at the top, and these are just going to seat on the little pegs here with a bit of super glue. So there we have all of our sneakers. Next, we're going to attach the clock here. We're going to take the box here, and there is a spot in the back that fits this exactly, and we are just going to pop that in there. Like so. We're going to use the nut and screw that on. Next, we're going to put on the hour hand, and that just slides right on. Then we put on our minute hand, followed by the second hand. And this pops right into the end. And there we go. So there is our completed Jordan clock. And here it is. I love how sharp this looked. This came out great. This would be a super gift for any sneakerheads out there or Jordan fans. You can choose whatever colorways you want to personalize this clock and make it your own. I even did some extra shoes because I'm crazy like that, because I liked the different looks. I ultimately went with this design, but I did paint some alternatives just to give it a little variety. Choose your favorite colorways, do a little painting, a little gluing, and you are done. You have a beautiful and functional display piece. Here are my rankings for this project. Ease of printing, this one gets a 10. You send the files to your printer, no worrying about supports, those are all built in and you don't have to move anything around. No AMS is required for this. You can pause your print and switch out the color to finish your Jumpman, or you can choose to print it separately in a different color and glue it on afterward. Ease of assembly, I am going to give this one a 9. Everything fits together beautifully. You just need a little bit of super glue to keep everything in place and you're done. Do your research and make sure that you glue the shoes on in the correct order. 12s go at the top. For increased contrast on these arms, I ended up painting them white so that you could actually read the time. It was a little bit difficult with the black arms on the black clock, so I think the white looks great. I did have to do a couple of layers to get the paint to stick to the arms, but it ended up working out really well. The toughest part of this build by far was painting these teeny tiny Jordans. It took me about 4 hours to paint all of these. It was a lot of extremely tiny detail work, but if you love doing that kind of stuff like I do, this was really fun. It definitely takes a steady hand to paint these though. But it is worth all of the time and effort for the painting because this is a really cool clock. What time is it? Sneaker time! Woo! That's gonna do it for this episode. If you enjoyed this, please consider liking and subscribing. Let me know which colorways you would choose on your clock in the comments section below, and I will see you next time.